Hey, what's up guys? This is Waj from the MW Technology channel on YouTube, and in this video we'll be doing a direct head-to-head comparison between the new 3DS XL and the original 3DS XL. Now, we actually have the Japanese version of the new 3DS, which is actually known as the 3DS LL, but it'll be known as the XL in North America and around the world. And this version over here is going to be pretty similar to the version that we're going to have all across the globe. So let's go ahead and see if you're an existing 3DS XL owner, if the new XL will be worth upgrading to, and let's go ahead and see if we can determine any major differences between these two portable gaming consoles. Now, the new 3DS XL has been pretty much revamped in terms of its external design and look. It generally has the exact same look and design as the standard new 3DS that we reviewed earlier in this channel, and generally speaking, I do like the feeling in the hand. It feels a little bit more ergonomically friendly to most people's hands, although the previous generation of the XL was also good in that regard. Now, side by side, the dimensions of these two devices are very similar. Overall, the new 3DS is actually a little bit longer, measuring about 160 millimeters versus about 155 millimeters, and a little bit deeper as well, measuring about 93.5 millimeters versus about 92.96 millimeters on the older XL. Now, in terms of thickness, there is a difference. The new one is thinner at about 21.5 millimeters versus 22 millimeters on the older generation XL, but this is a very minor difference. You're never going to really notice the thickness differences between these two in real life. Now, on the other hand, in terms of weight, the new 3DS XL is lighter, measuring about 329 grams versus about 335 grams. And if you put them both in your hand, you kind of feel that little bit of a weight difference. But again, unless you have them side by side, you're never going to really notice that difference. Now, taking a look at the back of the new 3DS XL, you'll notice that we have the addition of the all-new trigger buttons, which are the ZL and ZR trigger buttons. And certainly with these additional trigger buttons, you're going to have some increased functionality on specific game titles that will utilize the new ZL, ZR triggers. But one thing I noticed is that on the original 3DS XL, the triggers are actually a little bit longer than on the new 3DS XL. So the regular triggers are a little bit shortened to make room for the ZL, ZR triggers. And that might cause some people to have a little bit of a fit, because the fact is you do have shorter trigger buttons. They may be not as easily accessible and as easy to press compared to the larger, longer trigger buttons that you have on the original 3DS XL. Now, the button layout has been slightly rearranged on the new 3DS XL compared to the original. We now have the volume dial on the upper screen opposite to the 3D dial, which kind of looks a little bit more symmetrical. Additionally, we've lost the Wi-Fi toggle switch that was on the previous generation XL, and that is no longer there. You pretty much have to turn on and off your Wi-Fi from the software settings. Additionally, you do not have a slot for your SD cards. You pretty much have to open the back of the 3DS XL and access the SD card, which has now been upgraded to a micro SD card, which is a lot smaller in terms of form factor, but it kind of sucks that you have to open up the back to change it out if you want to swap it or upgrade your memory. Furthermore, unlike the new 3DS XL, you cannot replace the faceplates as easily as on the new one, which has a very unique design of swapping out different faceplates and things like that. And I think that's kind of a misstep for Nintendo. I think a lot of people will be interested in customizing their new 3DS XL much in the same way that people are doing with the new standard 3DS. Continuing forward, the select, start, and home button arrangement has been completely revamped on the new 3DS XL. We pretty much have a center home button, which is very easy to press, and I think a lot better suited to be in that kind of center position. And we have the start and select button on the side, which is also very easy to press. Now, I had no problem with the button arrangement on the older generation 3DS XL, but I do like the configuration on the new one. Now, on the new 3DS XL, the biggest change in terms of controller interface has to be the addition of the C-Stick, which is pretty much a pressure-sensitive joystick, something you would typically find on an older generation business computer. And it basically allows you to access different different degrees of movement. Now, currently right now, you can use the C-Stick to do a couple of different things in certain apps on the 3DS XL, such as in your mobile web browser. You can actually zoom in and out between different web pages, and it's going to be really up to developers to take advantage of this new controller interface to really change the dynamics of how you can control your characters or toggle between different powers. So it's going to be really exciting to see new games that are going to utilize the C-Stick in mind. Now, aside from the new color scheme on the ABXY buttons, which is really inspired by the Super Nintendo, there isn't really any difference between the C-pad, D-pad, and the overall ABXY buttons. If I had to pick something out, I would generally say that on the new 3DS, things feel a little bit more clicky and less smooth compared to the original 3DS, which I kind of prefer. I kind of like a more kind of clicky button, something of a more mechanical feel than something a little bit more squishy and things like that. But again, all these things are very minor in terms of their nature, so there's not really a massive difference between the two in terms of actual button and controller feel. Now, one thing Nintendo decided to do is actually shorten the stylus on the new 3DS XL by just a couple of millimeters. Some people may or may not like that, but it is certainly smaller than the original XL. Now, in terms of the screens themselves, they're pretty much identical compared to the original 3DS. They are the exact same measurement and the exact same resolution. Now, one big addition that has been changed is on the upper 3D screen. We do have much better field of view in terms of 3D functionality. Now you have a camera that's tracking your head and eye movement, so it can adjust the whole 3D system to match your perspective, and it works extremely well. This is one of the most advanced 3D display that you're going to find out there that doesn't need any glasses, and it's certainly a big improvement from the last generation 3DS XL. Now, in terms of the internal specifications, we do have a slight upgrade in terms of overall CPU configuration and graphics. In terms of the CPU, we are using the same ARM 11 dual-core processor, but we have a higher clock speed on the new 3DS XL. Basically, it's clocked around 532 megahertz versus about 266 megahertz on the original 3DS XL, and we do have more RAM, almost double, at 256 megabytes versus about 128 megabytes on the original 3DS XL. Now let's go ahead and test out some of the internal capabilities by just doing a couple of tests. We're first going to do a boot up test to see whether the new 3DS XL boots up any faster than the original one. And as you just saw right there, they're pretty close, but the new 3DS XL is certainly faster in terms of overall boot up times. Now, the second thing that we're going to do is we're going to be in an application or any kind of game, and we're going to just exit out of it by pressing the home button, and we're just going to see which one gets back home quicker. And as you see again, the new 3DS XL is just slightly a little bit faster, but not a major difference between the two. Furthermore, if you guys do a lot of internet web browsing on your 3DS XL, we're going to see which one loads up different web pages faster. So we're going to load up instafuse.com. And as you just saw over there, the new 3DS XL is slightly faster than the original XL. Additionally, on the GPU side, we do have a little bit of a faster GPU clock speed. It's basically using the same exact architecture, but it is clocked at higher at 266 megahertz versus about 133 megahertz on the original 3DS XL. And we do have more video memory, about 10 megabytes for VRAM versus about 6 megabytes of VRAM on the original 3DS XL. Now, even though, as we just mentioned, the new 3DS XL is superior in terms of graphical capabilities, there's not really a lot of titles to take advantage of that new hardware, mainly because of the fact that they haven't actually had time to develop the new games, because the new 3DS XL just came out. So developers are right now making games that are going to utilize the increased horsepower of it, and that way you have higher performing graphical based games that are going to really take advantage of the new hardware on the new 3DS. So we're going to see games like Monster Hunter 4G and perhaps other titles that are going to come out in 2016 and 2015 that are going to really take advantage of the internal specs. Now, both of them still have the front and rear-facing 3D cameras, and they're both pretty much identical in terms of overall quality, so no real difference, as you can see over here. Now, in terms of connectivity, we both have Wi-Fi capabilities at 802.11g. Unfortunately, we do not have AC or N standards on the new 3DS XL, which is kind of upsetting to see, but they both have NFC and the infrared port for different wireless data transmission and communications. Furthermore, in terms of sensors, both have accelerometers and gyroscopes, so no real difference there. But one thing that is different is the battery performance. Now, they're pretty much using the exact same battery capacity, about 1750 milliamp hour battery, but we are getting more out of that battery on the new 3DS XL. It has a very impressive battery life, anywhere between 3.5 to 7 hours of 3DS gameplay. And if you're using DS games, you can get up to 7 to 12 hours of gameplay, versus that's about a half an hour to about 45 minutes on average better than the original 3DS XL, which typically gets around 3.5 to 6 hours of battery life. And if you're using DS games, you get 7 to 10 hours of battery life, which is generally pretty good, but the new one is slightly better and improved in that category. And that's really it, guys. If you have any specific questions about anything I talked about in this video, please make sure to leave that on a comment down below, and make sure to let me know if you guys think if the new 3DS XL is really worth it to upgrade to. Now, certainly in terms of price point, the new 3DS will be the exact same price as the original 3DS XL, so that's a big thumbs up for pretty much everyone out there. And the new 3DS will pretty much replace the old one, so if you're in the market for one, you kind of know what to expect. And hopefully this video kind of helped you out in some way in figuring out the differences between the new 3DS XL and the original. But if you haven't checked out already, I actually have the new 3DS versus the PS Vita Slim comparison on my channel. You can also check out the back of this video where you'll find that video, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. And I also have a series for the standard new 3DS, comparing it against the original XL as well as the original 3DS. So definitely check all those videos out. Thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you later. Take care.